Hello students, I'm going to solve problem 57 from section 1.1. You're given a point and you're given a line and you have to write an equation of a line that is parallel to this one and it goes through this point. So the first thing you need to do is to find the slope of the line that you're given. So we're going to solve for y just to identify the slope. When you solve for y, first you have to get rid of the term with x. And then after you do that, you have to get rid of the number multiplying y, which in this case is 4. That's why I divide both sides of the equation by 4. Notice how when I divide by 4 and I have two terms, the 4 applies to each, not just the first term that you see. That's why if I'm writing this equation in the slope-intercept form, the slope would be negative 3/4 and the y-intercept would be 7/4 rather than just simply 7. But this guy doesn't count, so I'm not going to pay attention to it. The slope is negative 3/4. Since you're asked to write a parallel line to this one, this is the slope that we're going to use. Now to answer this part, I just wrote part A. I'm writing a parallel line to this one through the point that I'm given. The slope that I found is negative 3/4, so that's the one that I'm going to use because they are parallel. And then the x and the y come from the point. This is the x and this is the y. So I'm going to replace that and then I'm going to solve for b. Remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across. This is 6/12 and that makes it a half. Subtract by a half both sides. Since they are not like denominators, I'm going to write a half as 4/8 so that the denominators are alike. And that will give me 3/8. Slope-intercept form, the slope that I already found and the y-intercept that I just found gives me the answer for part A. This is a line that I know for sure without graphing, and that is parallel to the line 3x plus 4y equals 7. Now, for perpendicular lines, you might want to just slow down here. If I'm writing a perpendicular line through this point, I cannot find the same. I cannot use the same slope that I found previously. I cannot use negative 3/4 anymore. I must find the opposite of the reciprocal. So since this is negative, you know the other slope is going to be positive. And since you have 3/4, you just flip it to find the reciprocal, 4/3. So this is the slope that you're going to use for perpendicular line for this equation. Now you replace your values in the y equals mx plus b equation that you must be loving by now. Multiply across fractions, and then since the denominators are not alike, you're going to have to multiply this fraction by 9 top and bottom, and this fraction by 8 top and bottom, so that the denominators that are alike are 72. And then you can combine them to find b. So the value of b is 127/72. And now my final answer is 4/3, which is the slope that I use for this part. This slope is perpendicular to the line that I was given in the exercise, and this is the y-intercept that I found. Now I check on the back of the book just to make sure that I did things right, and it turns out that the book says 127/2. So what are we to do? Well, you're to believe your teacher. This is probably a typo and they just forgot to write 7. And this is the reason why they print new editions, because they find a bunch of mistakes and things like that. So believe me, this is the final answer. Now I'm going to go feed my cat. Bye.